Welcome back to the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr., and as we always like to do on this show, let's talk some Eagles football. And what I want to touch on today, some concerning injury news and developments for Nakobe Dean, given the injury that he suffered in the playoffs for Philadelphia this past January. And this might be a big reason why the Eagles decided to move up from 32 overall to 31 overall in that trade with the Kansas City Chiefs to take linebacker and edge rusher combo Jihaad Campbell in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. And this really sets a foundation for what we're going to get into here with this show, because it is the same injury that has impacted a lot of players throughout the course of NFL history. And it's the injury that Nakobe Dean is trying to come off of. The patellar tendon injury, which is one of the worst injuries that you can suffer. Patellar tendon, Achilles injuries. They are two injuries with surgeries and recoveries that when you hear it for a professional athlete, when you hear it for anybody, you're like, oh no, that is going to be a long and arduous recovery. As we know, the Achilles tendon in the news because Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics rupturing his Achilles tendon on Monday in Game 4 against the New York Knicks. Now, back to the football front, of course. This tweet from Adam Schefter. Last week, the 49ers waiving former second-round pick defensive end Drake Jackson with a failed physical designation. He is still rehabbing a knee injury, but is expected to be cleared by the start of training camp. That injury that he suffered all the way back in 2023. And we have not seen him play since then. Patellar tendon injury. He was the 61st overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft by the Niners. He only had 6 sacks in 23 career games. It's unfortunate for him because when he was coming out of USC, had some NFL bloodlines within his family because his pops was a really good football player, and he was a little bit raw while with the Trojans. But you saw the length, you saw the wingspan, you saw the bend, some of the physical traits that could translate to a player being a really good pass rusher in this league. And for Drake Jackson, there were glimpses where he played some good football for the Niners, obviously in a small sample size. He had a few sacks, I think 3 in a 4-game span as a rookie. And then in year 2, he had 3 sacks in week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And honestly, we really never heard from him again. He's only 24 years old, 6'4", 273, though, just hasn't been able to come back off of that patellar tendon surgery. Remember last offseason when we were talking about Caden Stearns, a really good Denver Broncos safety who stepped in for Justin Simmons a few years ago, played good ball. He, too, suffered that same injury that Drake Jackson did and Nakobe Dean injured in January against the Green Bay Packers. And here's some more insight on what this injury entails and some of the background and studies behind it. Studies show that NFL athletes who have undergone patellar tendon repair have lower return to play rates compared to other injuries. Complete recovery after surgery can take up to 12 months, and some players may not fully regain their pre-injury form. Even with surgery, players may experience a decline in performance levels after the initial recovery period. The patellar tendon anchors the thigh's quad muscle to the shin, allowing the knee to flex and extend. Because it's so integral to running and cutting, it's not usual for strength and explosiveness to return at a reduced level. Patellar tendon injuries, including tears and ruptures, are a serious concern for NFL players, often leading to significant setbacks in their careers. While a tear may not always be career-ending, it significantly impacts performance and return to play rates, with studies showing that only about 50% of players return to their pre-injury level. Couple of takeaways from that. 50%, it's not a great odds number for Nakobe Dean and for players throughout the course of NFL history who have suffered those injuries. And you also think about the complexities of this specific injury and surgery. It's the quad connecting to the shin, And so you think about an Achilles tear, right? You're going to be non-weight bearing for a little while, but then you can get in a boot and you can kind of walk a little bit. Torn ACLs are so interesting because sometimes players play through torn ACLs. Curtis Rourke, the Indiana quarterback last year, played through a torn ACL. Phillip Rivers did the same. Even when people suffer torn ACLs, sometimes they can play through that or walk and run. There's that linebacker from NC State from 2 drafts ago who got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unbelievable athlete. He has no ACL. So with a torn ACL, sometimes you can walk, you can run. But with that patellar tendon injury, you need to be completely non-weight bearing. And even if you're trying to build up strength in one part of your leg, you're not able to because you have to be immobile. Because you need the quad, the knee, and the shin all to get that rest. And then you're having to build up your muscle and your strength in all of those areas. And then there's the timeline, right? Players can return in about 12 months. Well, unfortunately for Nakobe Dean, who had a career year last year, he suffered this injury in January. So there's no telling when he'll be able to come back and if he'll be able to return to that type of level. And unfortunately for him, he's going into the final year of his rookie contract after being a third-round pick a few years ago, going into year 4 right now. Other notable patellar tendon injuries that have cost players their careers, Victor Cruz actually suffered that injury at Lincoln Financial Field, was never the same, and was never able to return to that pre-injury form. The same can be said for Cadillac Williams, really good running back there for a little while. And then Gerard Mayo, linebacker for the New England Patriots, suffered that injury, and he just couldn't get right. So I am hopeful that Nakobe Dean can come back. Respected player, fun player to watch, best linebacker in college football. Took him a little while after Georgia to find his footing as an NFL player. Last year, that happened. Him alongside Zach Bond, they were one of the top linebacker duos in the National Football League. And Nakobe Dean is also a leader in that Eagles locker room. He did say during Super Bowl week, I'm going to be back better than ever. I hope he is right. But I just wanted to share that insight, the data points, and the background, some of the history of that injury to just inform a lot of you. Nakobe Dean in 2024, we talk about him having a career year. He did. And I know he struggled a little bit in coverage. That's not his strongest suit or skill. 60.7 coverage grade there, 75th in the NFL. But his overall PFF grade of 75.2 was 27th among 189 linebackers in the game. Pass rush grade, top 10, 82.1 at number 8. Run defense grade, 80.4. That was top 26 in the NFL. He's a good blitzer, as we saw with the sack numbers. He had 3 of those according to PFF, and then 14 pressures. That was 16th, and he had 56 stops. That was 6th among all linebackers. A reminder, programming alert, the NFL, they are releasing schedules for all 32 teams tomorrow, Wednesday, May 14th. We will have a full Eagles 2025 schedule breakdown right here on the show, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and lock us in. If you want an Eagles jersey, we continue to tell you about these great deals thanks to our friends at Fanatics. All you have to do is use that link down below, chatsports.com/Eagles jersey, and you can get your Eagles jersey just in time for the 2025 season. If you don't want a jersey, you can still use that link. It'll redirect you to Fanatics, and then Fanatics will know that Chase Senior, Eagles Now, and Chat Sports sent you. You can get shirts, polos, hoodies, Super Bowl merchandise, whatever you want. It's available because our friends at Fanatics are hooking you up. As far as those jerseys, current players, former players, road whites, home midnight greens, the black jerseys, which I also love, and the cleanest jerseys in all of sports, the Kelly greens. Get your jerseys today, chatsports.com/Eagles jersey. So this Nakobe Dean injury, the severity of it, the recovery timeline, when he got hurt in January, may have very well led to the Eagles taking Jihaad Campbell with the 31st overall pick in the first round. First time that the Eagles have drafted an off-ball linebacker in decades. And you look at the Eagles linebacker depth chart, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, the starters if Nakobe Dean is able to stay healthy, but I don't think there's any chance, considering what we know about this injury, that Dean is going to be ready for week 1. And so who's going to start alongside Zach Bond? Will it be the rookie Jihaad Campbell, who's also dealing with an injury of his own, that labrum injury? Could it be Jeremiah Trotter? Could it be Smile Mondon, the 5th-round pick out of Georgia, who a lot of people looked at as one of the top off-ball coverage linebackers in the NFL, another really good player from that Georgia program? There is a good chance that the starter alongside Zach Bond could be a very young player. And the development of that player is going to be really important for this Eagles defense in 2025, manning the middle of the field. And why I think the Eagles took Campbell, incredible value at 31. They looked at him as a top 10 player on their board. So when you can get a top 10 player in the class at 31, you have to do it. And Howie Roseman has really learned from some of his previous draft failures, right? Sometimes he has reached in the past, and this was a while ago when he was a younger general manager, sometimes he is drafted based upon need. Now, doesn't matter about need. They draft the best players there. And Jihaad Campbell at 31, when he's a top 10 player on your board, that's a no-brainer. The Eagles are certainly shocked by that. They think that he can be elite. He has positional versatility. Edge, linebacker, he can do both. Eagles fans will really love his play style. Plays like he shot out of a cannon. Heat-seeking missile. Blazing sideline-to-sideline speed. He has swagger, confidence. He plays with aggression. This can be another chess piece for Vic Fangio, who has a wonderful history of developing linebackers. Look at the massive leap of Nakobe Dean last year as an example. Look at how Zach Bond in his first year as an off-ball linebacker became a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year and was a first-team All-Pro. How about Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman when Vic Fangio was the DC with the 49ers? Campbell has the skills to become that. Best Alabama defender in 2024. What's so interesting is that he was recruited as an edge rusher, and so that gives him the aforementioned versatility, but a lot of instincts. The Nakobe Dean future, as we mentioned, very uncertain. I think that Campbell can be a Zach Bond type of player, thrive off ball in coverage, but also be used as a blitzer, as an outside linebacker or in between the tackles on delayed blitz calls. And the Eagles have said this. Jihaad Campbell is going to impact the pass game, whether it be collapsing the pocket, rushing the quarterback, or having a role against the pass game as an off-ball linebacker. The shoulder injury concern, that is something that we just hope and pray is going to be okay. And maybe he, like Nakobe Dean, misses some time in 2025. But the shoulder injury, not as much of a grave concern as that patellar tendon. Be sure to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. In addition to all of the Eagles content I give you here, I'm always talking birds on social media as well.